Hi, this is Scott with eTrailer, and today we're taking a look at and installing our CURT Class 3 hitch for our 2024 Chevrolet Traverse. This hitch is a really nice option for the Traverse. One thing I like about it is it's completely hidden behind the rear fascia. So when you don't have it in use, you can have your little cover on here and have it don't even look like you have one on there at all. When you need it, you just pop this off and there you go. With this one, we did set up with wiring. So with this one, I kind of recommend to go ahead and do the wiring while you're in here installing this hitch, just because it makes it a little easier to get at the plug to do so, and also to set up your mount for your 4-pole plug wiring here. Makes sense to have it done all at once. Other than that, it is a 2-inch hitch, so it is going to have your 2-inch opening here. That's going to accommodate all of your common accessories that are out there on the market now. Most of the things now are a 2-inch accessory, so that's a really nice setup for that. Weight capacities for this one are going to be 500 pounds for your tongue weight rating. That's going to be the weight pushing down on this part of your tongue. So that's going to be for like your bike racks or your cargo carriers and that type of thing. And that's what's going to be your reading there. As far as your gross trailer weight rating, that's going to be 5,000 pounds. And that's going to be the weight of your trailer and everything that you have on that. So that's going to be your number there. One thing you do want to take a look at is your owner's manual and make sure that you go with the lower number for your tow capabilities in your manual, just so you keep everything safe while you're towing. It is going to have your 5/8 pin opening here, and that's going to allow you to lock in any of the accessories you have on here. It does not come with the pin, but you can pick one up here at eTrailer so you can be all set up to pull. Another thing you can take a look at is the locking pin option. That's a really nice option. So say you've got your really nice high-end bike rack on here and you don't want anybody to take it, your locking pin option will lock that on there so nobody can pop that off of there when you're not around. It is going to have the really nice rounded loops, and it's going to accommodate your standard S-style safety chain loops or your clevis style hooks. So that really opens up your options to keep your trailer safe. As far as measurements go, pinhole to edge of bumper is going to be right at 2 inches. With that number, you're going to use that to see if any of your accessories that you have that may fold up, like say you have a stowaway bike rack, you're going to want to use that number to see if you can stow that away without making contact with the back of your vehicle. The measurement from the ground to the top of the tube, we're looking at 21 inches there. With that measurement, that's the one you're going to want to go by if you have a bike rack and maybe you want to have a little raise in the shank. That way it keeps your bikes up away from the ground. That way if you're backing up and there's a little slope or something like that, you don't make contact with that. So that's a good number to go by with that. As far as installation goes, it is pretty involved to get this hitch installed. You are going to have to remove your rear fascia, and that can be a little bit tricky. So if it's something you really don't feel like dealing with yourself, you can take a look at our dealer locator and have something installed locally for you. Or if you feel like doing it yourself, stick around and watch our video and we'll help you get it installed. To start our installation, we're going to remove our hitch access panel here. It's going to have 2 little tabs, and you're just going to turn it about a quarter turn, and that'll pop right off for you. Now down under our fascia, right up under here, we're going to have 2 T15s. You're going to have one here and one over here. We're going to go ahead and get those removed now. Now we're going to have 2 T20s right here on the back. We're going to have one here and one on the other side. Now we'll just pop out our plastic covers here by our taillights. You may need to get a little plastic tool behind there and try and pry that out. The little plastic clip up top can be a little tricky. Now once you get that one out, you can just pull up and out. Now we'll just loosen our 7mm bolts behind our tail light cover. Now on each side of the back of our fender well here, we're going to have 4 T15 screws. We're going to need to get those removed. For our next step, we're going to have to pull this trim back just beyond our trim line here. We're going to have to get under here. There's a little tab that pokes down into the bottom of this part of our fascia. So we'll need to pull that out. And once you get the clip right behind here undone, you should be able to lift up just enough to get that to pull out of that tab. So I'll just get that clip pulled back. And get your fingers behind it and just pull back. Now you can work your way up carefully. Just pull a little bit of pressure on your trim and pull it back, and it'll pop those clips loose. Now once we get to this point, we're going to have a 7mm bolt right back behind here. What I like to do is just take a rag and stuff it up behind that. That's going to help hold your trim out. And then we can get a small ratchet behind there and get that removed. These are pretty long, so just be patient and get it out far enough. And once you get it out far enough, usually you can get it to come out with just your fingers. Okay. Now with all of our hardware removed and our trim back out of the way, we did put some tape along our seams here so that way we don't end up scratching these if they come together. We also put some tape down our clips that pop into the side of our body so we don't have any contact there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start right along the inside edge here where that 7mm was, and we're just going to work our fingers up it and pop it, going along carefully. And then once we get to this part, we're going to get in behind it here and just pull back on it there. Can be a little tricky around this tail light. Just be careful with it. There we go. Now, once you get it popped loose, make sure you don't have any electrical connections. And if you do, just go ahead and take them loose. On this side, we're going to have a clip. Just going to pull a little red thing back. Okay, with that disconnected, we can get our fascia moved out of the way. We'll come back through and we'll take out our bolts for our bumper beam. And that is going to be a 15mm socket. Now with all of our bolts and hardware out of the way, we can pull off our bumper beam. Now we can get our hitch slid into position. We're just going to slide it right into the existing frame pockets here and up over our existing studs. Once you get it slid in place, we're going to use our existing hardware that we took off when removing our bumper beam. Just the top nuts, just to hold it in place. Now in the inside of the tube of our hitch, there's going to be a hole in the back and a hole in the front. So we want to put a bend in our fish wire that we got in the kit, and we're going to take a light and we're going to run it back into the tube to the furthest back hole and just let it pop down. And just grab onto your wire when it comes down through the hole and just pull it out just a little bit. Now, at this end of our wire, we're going to take one of our spacer blocks and our carriage bolt and just screw that onto the end of our fish wire. Bring it right about to the end of where our coils stop. and fish them both through into the hole. Grab your wire on the other end and pull it down and through. And once you get that one down, you can just leave that hang there with your wire on and get to your other one. And we're going to use the same procedure. Put a little bend in our wire. And we're going to go right in through our hitch till we find the hole. And the wire will drop down. Grab our wire. Now, once we have those fish wires through, what I like to do is take a pry bar and push down on the top of that carriage bolt on the inside of our tube. That way it holds it in place. So when I pull the fish wire off, it'll stay there in place. Now, leaving it pushed down, I'll come back through with my supplied nut and go ahead and run that up finger tight as far as I can. And I'll do the same with the one in the back. Just a couple notes, our exhaust was held by an isolator a little bit further forward, but when you do break these loose, you do kind of want to hold on to it and make sure it just don't drop off. Just kind of let it down nice and slow. Now, just to get our hitch lined up, I did use our factory hardware here that we took out when we removed our bumper brace. So what I'm going to do is get these moved out of the way, and I will replace these with the supplied hardware that we got in our kit. Now, before we get our exhaust put back in place and the bolts run through for our mounts here, we want to be able to have room to get up under here to be able to get our socket and torque wrench on the nuts that are under here that we ran through or their carriage bolts. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back through and we're going to torque these down first, and then we'll come back through and we'll reinstall our exhaust hangers. So what we're going to do is torque it down to the specifications in your instruction manual. After we have those torqued down, we'll come back through and install our hardware. It came with our kit, and we're going to have a conical washer, and it's going to have the teeth on it. Anytime you have a conical washer with the teeth on it, you want that facing your mounting surface. Now that we have all of our hardware in place, we'll come back through and we'll just snug them all down. Now for the rest of our hardware, we'll come back through and torque them down to the specifications listed in our instruction manual. Now that we have everything torqued down and everything looks good, next part will be just getting your fascia reinstalled and all your hardware back in place. Just be careful with it and just make sure everything goes back the way you want it. And that was a look at our CURT Class 3 hitch for our 2024 Chevrolet Traverse. I'm Scott with eTrailer, and thanks for watching.